Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll be talking about 5 new character specific epithets I have gotten in Umamusume Pretty Derby. This is the second epithet video. Thus, this video will be called Epithet Tier List 2. This will be an updated version of the epithet tier list I did in the first epithet video. First of all, thank you all for 2000 views on the first epithet video. It means a lot to small creators like me. It is also the fastest video to get 2000 views and it's about to be my most viewed video on the channel. I'm glad that viewers like you all do enjoy my tips for the epithet, so that kind of motivated me to do more in the future. Also, because I'm a completionist, I do want to get all the character specific epithets, although it is kind of impossible for now. I've seen players have difficulties getting the epithets of their favorite Uma characters on Reddit and Discord servers, and I did not cover some of them in my first video, noticeably the harder ones. This video does not contain a lot of Umas, but I hope it is at least a bit useful to players. And I'm sure what are these Uma's epithets is definitely something everyone is curious on how to get. Before I go into the video, let's start with some basics. All my recommended support cards and skills are in the first epithet video. Link will be in the bio or at the end of this video. The limitations here is that I managed to get 26 character epithets out of the 27 Umas I own. I also do not have quite a lot of Umas as my gacha luck in this game is downright horrible. If I somehow do manage to get them in the future, they will be in the third epithet video. Yet again, most of these epithets are done in their initial 3-star form except for one, which I upgraded to 3-star. You'll know who that is later. Potential level for most of these characters are also level 3 each, except for one Uma. They are not needed, but it is good to have them at least level 3 or in some case level 5. Lastly, these are just my opinions on how easy or hard these epithets are to get. You might find it easier or harder to get them, and that's fine. I just want to provide some tips for those who want to get their favorite Uma's specific epithets. With that out of the way, let's get into the 5 new Uma epithets I've gotten. There is one new character in the easy tier, so let's have a recap of what the easy tier is. Most players can obtain these epithets purely free to play. They do not require a lot of conditions to obtain, which also includes not needing to complete the career, winning the URA finals, or being the most popular. And finally, these epithets can be accomplished in 1 to 3 runs. In this tier, we have Smart Falcon, and her epithet name is Sand Falcon. Win at least 9 graded dirt races in a row using Front Runner, including the JBC Classic, Teiyo Show, and Tokyo Daishoten. For Smart Falcon's base stats, they are A for dirt, E for turf, B for sprint, A for mile and medium, and A for front. You could run her in the Front Runner strategy. For her legacies, just use speed and power. For her recommended deck, it is 4 speed 2 stamina or 3 speed 3 stamina. For the 9 graded dirt races, these races can include any race except for pre-OP and OP races. This is quite literally one of the easiest epithets to get, as every career race after the Satsuki show is all dirt, and the last 6 of them require you to win, which means getting first place. In case you get second or below, you can restart it with an alarm clock instead of just moving on and wasting the whole run for it. The required specific races, JBC Classic, Teiyo Show, and Tokyo Daishoten are all in the career path too. To put it in simple words, they made it easier for you to achieve this epithet without needing to do many runs over and over again, unless you keep losing in those races. You would definitely also need to run some races outside of your career path, but I think that's fine, because Sand Falcon is a front runner and she has a very good skill, so she'll probably win first anyways. I think that Sand Falcon's epithet is the easiest epithet so far to get in the game. So if you have Sand Falcon and you love Sand Falcon, then you'll enjoy getting her epithet. Next up, there is one character in the just need a bit of luck tier. Just to recap what this tier is, here are the conditions. Besides stats, a bit of luck is needed to obtain these epithets. They do not require a lot of conditions to obtain, which also includes not needing to complete a career, winning the URA finals, or being the most popular. They however can be a bit tougher to achieve, but they are not as hard as the rest of the tiers. And these epithets can be accomplished in 1 to 5 runs. The Uma in this list is Hishi Amazon, and her epithet is called Queen of the Amazons. Win at least 6 graded races in a row as favorite using End Closer, overtaking at least 5 runners in the final stretch in at least 2 of those races. For her base stats, they are A for mild and medium, B for long, and A for End Closer. So of course, since her End Closer is A, you have to run her in End Closer, and that's what her epithet states too. You can use stamina or power legacies, or a mixture of both. It would be good if it could boost long aptitude to A, but it is not necessary. My recommended deck is 3 speed, 2 power, 1 stamina, or 4 speed, 2 power. 6 graded races means it can be any race from G3 to G1, which is pretty convenient. You also need to be the most popular in these 6 races, which might sound like a big deal because this tier usually doesn't need an Uma to be the most popular or most favorite, but her career doesn't have any difficult race that forces her to be the second favorite. Also, G2 and G3 races lower the requirement to be the most favorite or popular, so she can race those too. The first small issue with this epithet is winning 6 graded races in a row. It's not that big of a deal honestly, because G2 and G3 races are pretty easy to win as long as you have decent stats and skills. G1 can also be countered, although they are of course a bit harder. But the best part of all is that there are no specific races here, so even if you break the streak somewhere, like in the middle of the run, you can just start another streak of races in the same run, so you don't have to restart all over again. The second small issue is the overtaking of 5 other runners on the last straight on 2 of these 6 graded races. You might think because overtaking 5 runners sounds hard, and it's on a specific point, that it is impossible to achieve this. However, Amazon is an End Closer, which means she only speeds up at the end. Her skill is also pretty decent, which will definitely help her win. Mild racers are the best to do this, because their last straight is longer compared to medium or long races. Just like the first issue, the best part about this is that the races are not specific, which means you can do it in any graded races, which is G3, G2, and G1. Furthermore, it's just 2 of them in the 6, which means that if you get first but didn't overtake 5 in the last straight, you can always try again in another graded race in those 6 graded races that you need to win. Overall, this epithet isn't too hard to get. It is definitely achievable even if you are a free-to-play player. You just need to take note to run in End Closer in every race. Following that, we have one Uma in the tier Stats, Skills, and Luck. So let's recap the tier. For this tier, you need stats, skills, and luck to obtain these epithets. They do require some conditions to obtain, like getting a certain position in a race or getting a number of wins. These conditions are way more demanding. One wrong move or not successfully hitting a part of the requirement might just ruin the whole run. There is a certain difficulty completing these prerequisites. You need to plan for this. And lastly, these epithets can be accomplished in 1 to 9 runs, depending on if you're lucky, or else more runs if you're unlucky. The Uma in this category is Gold City, and her epithet is called Beauty of the Century. Win the Hanshin Juvenile Filets, run in all races with a great mood, and complete a career playthrough with all training levels at 3 or higher and without slow metabolism, skin breakout, or slacker. For her base stats, they are A for mile, B for medium and long, and A for pace and late. Because her skill works best when she is in the second half of the pack, it is recommended to raise her as a late surger. You can use stamina and power legacies, and it will be better if they can boost medium and long aptitudes to A. It is not necessary, but it is recommended to do so as they are medium and long racers in her career path. For the recommended deck, it will be 4 speed, 2 stamina. For this epithet, you only need to win one race early on, and that is the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies. It is a G1 race, so definitely you'll need some decent stats and skills to win the race. The rest of the career races except the very last one doesn't need to be won, which is pretty good. However, the rest of the epithet is hard, either because of RNG or training. First of all, you need to run all of your races in great mood. You think it might be easy, right? Don't risk your training if the rates are too high, do some weight training, or go for recreation one turn before. These are pretty easy solutions. But what happens if a mood down event comes before the race? Now that's when you're screwed, and basically the whole run will be ruined. I suffered that before, as I got a mood down just before I entered the Kikuka show, which is kinda unfortunate that I had to restart the run so I could get the epithet. Resting a turn before the race might also give you mood down and night owl, which again will screw your run. I do have 2 tips here. Number 1, do weight training or recreation one turn before any race and pray that the mood down event does not occur. Number 2, do not participate in any race outside of your career races. Use those turns to rest or get your mood up or train more stats if you have enough energy. The second part of this epithet is not having slow metabolism, skin outbreak, or slacker condition. Slow metabolism can be avoided so long as you don't select the second option in the specific energy event. Skin outbreak can also be avoided as long as you're not a heartless trainer and run them in 3 or more races in a row. Slacker cannot be avoided because you can get it randomly through an event. And the moment you get it, boom, the run is over. You have to restart all over again. Very fun. The third part of this epithet is raising the level of all trainings to level 3 or higher. This would be pretty difficult if you don't plan for it. Here's how the training works. Each 4 times you train a stat, it levels up. That means that every stat needs to be upgraded at least 8 times before the URA finals. Speed and stamina can easily be level 3 because you are primarily upgrading them, and to a certain extent, power too, since you need that for a late surger. However, you need to concentrate on guts and weight more, which means less training for the 3 important stats, and it can lead you to losing races horribly. My advice is to upgrade the most important stats until you win the Hanshin Juvenile Fillies, and then you can slowly train the other stats. You can also do so before the May debut race to raise the bonds of your support cards should they appear there. The last part of this epithet is to complete the career. This means at least winning the Senior Year Japan Cup, which is the last career race for Gold City. This is important because if you use alarm clocks and still don't win this race, you're doomed. The run will be completely wasted. But by the Japan Cup race, you should most likely have at least A speed and B power and B stamina and some decent skills along with it. That should be enough to win the race. Overall, it is kinda hard to get Gold City's epithet because most of the time, it is just RNG screwing you over. Other times, it is just the training levels. Plan her career accordingly and you should still be able to achieve this epithet. For the last 2 Umas, they are both in the tough to get category. let's recap the tough to get category with the conditions. For tough to get tier, you need good stats, skills, and luck to obtain these epithets. They require conditions that are very hard to achieve, like winning as most popular while having length difference or being very specific. These conditions are very tough. Like the previous tier, one wrong move or not successfully hitting a part of the requirement might just ruin the whole run. There is high difficulty completing these prerequisites. You need to plan for this, and failure rates are very high here. These epithets can be accomplished in 1 to 10 runs depending on if you're lucky, or else more runs if you're unlucky. The first Uma I'm going to be talking about is Narita Taishin, and her epithet is called Comeback Champion. Win the Satsuki show by overtaking at least 4 runners in the final stretch using End Closer, win the Tenno Show Spring using End Closer, and attain at least 1200 guts. For her base stats, they are A for medium and long, and A for End Closer. Because her skills work best when she's at the back, and because the End Closer for her is the only A in her strategy, therefore you should just run her in End Closer. You can use speed or power legacies. Maybe stamina and guards legacies are also possible, but I kinda do not recommend that. My recommended deck is 4 guards, 2 stamina. Yeah, a different one this time, guards cards. This epithet is very difficult to achieve. It is similar to Amazon's epithet, but a harder version essentially. For starters, the Satsuki show requirement may sound like it's easy, but it never is. When they say overtaking at least 4 runners at the final stretch, they do mean the final stretch. Only the final straight is considered. Anything before that is not counted. Let's say you press the skip button and you are at the final corner in the 5th position. You manage to overtake 4 people from there until the finish line. That does not count at all. The overtaking must take place at the last straight before the finish. Like I said earlier in Amazon's epithet, mile races have a longer last straight compared to medium and long races. In medium races, it is considerably shorter. And guess what? Satsuki show is a medium race. And some other unfortunate things could happen in this race too. You could have already been first by the time you reach the last straight, or been in the 4th position when you reach the last straight, in which then you would have only overtaken 3 runners at the last stretch. Both of these cases do not count towards the epithet. I've failed so many runs because of this one condition. Not only that, but you also have to win the Satsuki show doing so. You could overtake 5 runners in the last straight, but if you end up in a position other than the first, the run's over in an instant and you have to do another run to try and get her epithet all over again. You also have to win the Tenno Show Spring, which is a race known to be one of the career-breaking races. You definitely need Swinging Maestro, Sleeping Lion, and a stroke of luck winning it. Now you might think, Noah, you're kind of exaggerating, aren't you? You could just build her normally with good speed and power, as well as some decent stamina, some recovery skills, and you're good to go. I wish that was the case. Here comes the last part of the epithet. You need to have 1200 guards by the end of the run. Yeah, guards, the most useless stat in the game right now. You need to max that out. That 20% guards training bonus, you definitely need that shit. So, instead of being able to concentrate on the 3 most important stats, you are forced to build your guards. To be fair, guards do help End Closers some part because it does increase their last spurt ability, but when you have abysmal speed and stamina in the races you need to win, you have a very high chance of losing it completely. You have to learn how to balance your speed, your stamina, and your power, all while increasing your guards as fast as possible, which can be frustrating in a lot of the runs that you do, unless you hit a really lucky streak. You also won't have many turns to do extra runs to get skill points because that will affect your guard's training. So you can only pray you get Swinging Maestro or Sleeping Lion before Tenno Show Spring. Wanna know what's the most irritating part about this epithet? Imagine you win the Satsuki Show while passing 4 runners at the last stretch and you win the Tenno Show Spring too. You manage to get through the URA finals and you're relieved. Until you see that your guards isn't 1200. I got into this situation before, as I explained in the previous video. I got 1167 guards by the end of that run, and man, did that not feel good at all. Not only would you waste your time and luck if this ever happens, now you have to redo the run all over again and pray that Taishin does exactly what she did in that previous run. This epithet is one of the hardest to achieve currently, and you don't have to get it now, because there will be future game modes where this will be definitely easier to get. I just got it because I wanted to show that it is indeed possible to get Taishin's epithet as of August 2025, which is 2 months after release. So, in case you do want to get the epithet, here are my recommendations. Number 1. Your guard support cards should be preferably max limit break or at least 3 limit break. Get some of them with good specialty priority, training effectiveness, and mood effect. The 2 good SRs here are Seeking the Pearl and Air Groove. For SSRs, Meijiro Ryan, Grass Wonder, Haru Rara, and Ines Fujin. For Haru Rara, you can max her out through the Friendship Shop, which shouldn't be that hard if you're in a semi-competitive club. For the rest of the SSRs, if you don't have a copy of them, or you don't have the max limit break version of them or 3 limit break, you could borrow from a friend, like I did for my Grass Wonder. If you don't have any of these support cards too, any SR and above max limit break guard support cards will do. The free Mambo SSR from the event can also be used here, and I did use it because I lacked the amount of guards cards. I mean, who the hell would use guards cards in the first place, right? So, for your 2 stamina cards, one of them is recommended to be super quick. In fact, you need super quick because Swinging Maestro is such a good recovery skill. The other one can be an SR or an SSR. The higher the limit break, the better. Remember when I said one Uma should be at potential level 5? Yeah, Taishin should be at potential level 5 to make use of one of the most powerful and closer skills, Encroaching Shadow, which is super good. Honestly, you should get that. I mean, it's not necessary to get potential level 5, but it is super helpful. Trust, it is so helpful for the racers. And lastly, pray for luck. You definitely need it. Overall, her epithet is very hard to get. I don't suggest you try to get it unless you kinda know what you're doing and you have a lot of the good guards and stamina cards. There will be future game modes where getting Taishin's epithet would definitely be much easier, so you don't have to do it right now. But if you do want to achieve her epithet, then I wish you good luck. Now, I present to you the nightmare and terror of epithets, Winning Ticket, and her epithet is Herald of a New Age. Win the Yayoi Show, Satsuki Show, Japanese Derby, and Kikuga Show as favorite. Win the Arima Kinnen Classic Year and obtain at least 240,000 fans. For her base stats, they are A for medium, B for long, B for pace, and A for late. Run her in either pace chaser or late surger, it's all up to you. You can use stamina and power legacies that could boost long aptitude to A, and pace if you are running her in pace. For the recommended deck, it will be 3 speed, 1 stamina, 1 guards, and 1 wit. Man, I have struggled with this epithet for way too long. It looks kinda easy, right? Win 5 races and obtain 240,000 fans sounds very simple until you see that you need to win the first 4 races as favorite. The Yayoi show is alright. Not too hard to get the most favorite. It is a G3 race too, so it is pretty easy to win the race. The first and biggest problem of this epithet is the Satsuki show. I'm sure that when you try to race this for the first time with winning ticket, you see that you are number 2 favorite no matter what. You look through the list of races and then you will see Taishin as the most favorite, even when her mood is good and your mood is great. You have more overall stats than her and higher speed, stamina and power than her, but somehow she is still the number 1 favorite and you're not. It gets you scratching your head and thinking, how the hell am I only 2nd favorite? You will then try many different ways to get number 1 favorite. That could be putting more emphasis on your speed or stamina, or more specialized legacies, or even upgrading her to 5 stars. Yet, you will realize that you will never be able to reach the number 1 favorite because Taishin still has that number 1 favorite. I was convinced for a period of time that this epithet is just impossible since I can't find anyone on the internet who has it, global or Japan servers, and I've tried way too many times. Then, when I posted the first epithet video saying that winning tickets epithet is kind of impossible to get, a YouTube user by the name of KCat commented on it, stating that they have been trying to get her epithet too. After some back and forth talking on a comment thread, there was a breakthrough. They achieved it. They shared with me the stats of a Ticketzo and the legacies and support cards that they used. That was when I realized that this epithet is definitely possible to obtain. I kept saying it was impossible, but someone proved me wrong and actually got it. Free to play too. I couldn't back down, so I tried again and again and again. I upgraded her stats equally, I bought more skills, and I prayed for luck really hard. And then finally, I got it. So, thanks to KCat for the tips and making me believe that this epithet could be gotten in the URA scenario. Here are my recommendations. Number 1. Speed should be your main stat to upgrade. Then it could be stamina for pace chasers or power for late surges. For support cards, I brought 3 speed and 1 of each other stat except for power. According to KCat, you can also use 3 speed, 2 stamina and 1 power. You do need to upgrade your guards and wit as you upgrade the rest of your stats too, but it doesn't have to be a lot. For the cursed Satsuki show, your stats need to have at least 1 D+, 2 Ds, 1 E+, and 1 E. You can also have one very high E+, and another high F+. The Ticketzo screenshot I'm showing on the screen is the one I used to run as number 1 favorite in the Satsuki show. Try to acquire as many skills as possible until Japanese Derby. They can help you in getting number 1 favorite. Of course, get those that actually help you, like the general green or yellow skills or the specific strategy skills. The second and quite big problem here is the Japanese Derby, because Biwa and Taishin are quite literally overpowered in this race, which can be really annoying. Ticketzo skills doesn't help much either, not without decent stats and good skills. You have to pray that they get boxed in somehow, because if you're boxed in, you're boxed in. It doesn't just apply to you, the player, but it applies to the opponents too. The last challenge is at Kikuka Show and Aoyama Kinen. You will definitely need a recovery skill and at least 400 stamina to win both races, not to mention good speed and yellow skills. Take note that the Aoyama Kinen in this epithet is the classic year and only the classic year. So if you don't win the classic year Aoyama Kinen, basically your run is ruined. And you have to try everything once again. And trust me, you do not want to be failing at this point of time. The 240,000 fan count is very easy to get because you need to win the races that are required, which will give you a very big amount of fans. Add that with the Senior Year Japan Cup and Aoyama Kinen, you will definitely be able to reach the count. And let's not forget that the URA races also give you quite a big amount of fans. Overall, I feel that this epithet is the hardest achievable epithet in the game thus far. I'm convinced that even with the characters I do not own, Tigetsu's epithet is almost impossible to get due to her Satsuki show requirement and the races in general. Only do this if you're willing to spend hours, days, or even weeks for her, or if she is your favorite Uma. Never try this epithet casually. And yeah, if you do realize, all the BNW members are in tough to get. Crazy. With that, these are my thoughts on the current epithets that I've gotten. As for the one Uma that I couldn't get an epithet for, I'm sure you kinda guessed it, it's Harurara. Her epithet is still impossible to get, for me at least, up to this day. And I also haven't seen anyone getting her epithet in global servers at the very least. Of course, in Japan servers, it is way too easy now that the scenarios have these complex mechanics that allow Harurara to race somehow as fast as you can and win every single race. But I have some certain progress on Harurara, if you could call it. The screenshot I'm showing right now is my closest attempt to getting Harurara's epithet. I was at 399,000 fans after the URA finals, which is about 150,000 away from the required amount of fans. I did of course lose some races here and there, but they're not too big to count. I still think that it is impossible to get Harurara's epithet, at least at this time. But I'm not gonna stop trying, because I feel that in a very slight chance that it is possible to get her epithet if I get really lucky. If any of you are able to get the Harurara's epithet, please let me know in the comments so I can take tips from you and then thank you in the next video. Here is an overview of the updated epithets tier list. As you can see, there are definitely some changes from the first video. I've shifted Taiki to after Smart Falcon because I think Taiki has one of the easiest epithets to gain too. Considering on the amount of runs that I've played for her, I feel that her epithet is like very easy to get because I've gotten it like 9 out of 10 times that I've ran Taiki, so that's why it's there. The next change is Super Quick, where I now rated her lower as Grass Runner. I feel that Super Quick is very, kind of decent to get her epithet. It's like, it's not too hard because she just needs to win Kikukasho by 5 lengths, which I think is pretty easy if you have quite a good amount of stamina and recovery skills. It can be achievable quite easily, and winning long races, you just have to go out of your way to just race like 1 or 2 more long races, because she has both Arima Kinen for both classic and senior year, and those are also considered long races. So I feel that Super Quick is definitely easier. This concludes the epithet tier list version 2 video. Hopefully my tips are able to help you get a little closer to achieving the character specific epithet for your favorite Uma. Once again, I wish you good luck in obtaining it, and I hope that the training blesses you. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day or night.